Dalia Mogahed, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
As a keen analyst of public opinion, both here in the United States and in Muslim-majority countries, how would you assess the state of the relationship today?
Steve, I actually think the state of the relationship has improved over the past several years. And one of the main reasons for that is much of the Middle East has gained greater confidence. Because of that greater confidence, because of a sense of accomplishment after some of these transitions and transformations and revolutions in the region, people in the Middle East and even in the broader Muslim majority society feel more respected by Western countries. Now, if we look at the other side, American views haven't worsened, but also haven't gotten much better over the past several years. But the net is a net improvement.
We're now 10 years, more than 10 years, post 9/11. How much do you feel that Americans know about Muslims, about Islam, about the Muslim world? And what does the data tell you?
Well, according to the research, half of Americans still say they know almost nothing about Islam and Muslims. And I don't see that changing very quickly. Unfortunately, much of the information out there is not accurate. And we in fact found a link between knowing something about Islam and actually having very negative views. So people who knew nothing, who in fact admit to knowing absolutely nothing, were more likely to have no prejudice. And people who knew a great deal were also more likely to have no prejudice. It was the middle group that knew something, that knew a little, that were most likely to say that they did harbor some prejudice against Muslims.
And how do you address a problem like that?
I think that one of the most powerful remedies of prejudice in general is personal relationships. So it's going to be up to Muslim Americans as well as the broader American community to reach out and get to know somebody that might be different from themselves.
In your written work as well as your polling, you talk a good bit about this idea of respect. Mm-hmm. Explain a little bit about how that's a driver.
Respect is a fundamental foundation of any relationship. We found that Muslims around the world tell us that one of the most important things to them in improving relations with the West is for countries like the United States and Europe to demonstrate more respect. And we really try to unpack this and understand what does it really mean. And at the end of the day, after analyzing a whole bunch of data, respect means essentially three things. One is not desecrating sacred symbols. So I think this is kind of an obvious one. But another aspect of respect is fairness, a sense of justice in the way that people are treated. And people do interpret being treated fairly as being respected. And then the third thing is how people are portrayed in media and in popular culture. When people see their own image portrayed very negatively, that's also being perceived as being, justifiably looked down upon.
Great. As we look forward, what do you see some of the challenges ahead in trying to improve this relationship between the United States and Muslim communities around the globe?
Well, of course, it's a very broad community, and each region, each country, each community within the global Muslim community is very different. If I were to focus for a minute on the Arab world and on some of the transformations taking place, I think the biggest challenge in this next phase is for American policymakers to shift their paradigm from looking at the region as one where we dealt with strong executives at the top and fostered relations with them, to one where we will have to engage a much wider sector of influence and power. Arab publics have become much more empowered, even in places where there hasn't been a revolution. And we won't be able to ignore public opinion in the way that we deal with these countries.
So we need to be engaging much more society to society and people to people.
Yes, we're going to have to engage much more broadly than we ever have before.
Great. You've been a veteran of our U.S. Islamic World Forum. Tell me a little bit about that event and how it's fit with your own work.
I really look forward to the forum every year. It's a place where I am able to meet and get to know such a wide cross-section of people working on the topic of U.S. Islamic world relations. I think what's really special about the forum is the diversity of the attendance, from high-powered American policymakers to civil society activists to religious leaders. It's really done a great job of gathering a very diverse group. The other thing that's very special about the forum is the working groups. I think the introduction of working groups around specific topics that bring together people from different walks of life to solve a problem together has had a profound impact on these debates.
Thank you, Dalia, for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.